Welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here. This is HFA's last educational webinar of our series in 2022, and I am sure it won't disappoint. We're very excited to have Cynthia Cross with us. She is the manager at HFA for our services team, and she has been asked to come today to talk about emotional and financial support for the holidays. So Cynthia is going to give her presentation. She will definitely have time at the end to answer any questions anyone might have. If you do have questions, we ask that you put those into the Q&A portion. At the bottom of your screen, you'll see a little toolbar and you can see the Q&A portion. There's where you can ask your questions. If you have any technical questions, your audio is not working, something like that, you can put that into the chat, and my colleague Jeanette, who's here being our Oz tech on the back end, will be happy to help you with that. And then the last housekeeping thing I have from the outset here is you do need to select your language. So at the bottom of the screen in that toolbar, you'll see something that has a little globe, and you just need to select English or Spanish. Haga clic en el globo terráqueo para elegir su idioma, por favor. So that's the last of my announcements. Take it away, Cynthia.
So hi, I'm Cynthia, HFA Services Manager. Today we're going to talk about the impact the holidays may have on your mental health and financial well-being, as well as some strategies and resources you can use to improve your well-being during the holiday stress. I do want to note that I will be sharing lots of resources and strategies, but we'll make sure that you have access to the slides as well as a quick reference sheet this week, so don't feel the need to write absolutely everything down. And many of the resources can also be found on our website. So we've entered the time of the year that is claimed to be the most wonderful time of the year. However, many, if not most of us, will experience bouts of the holiday blues and stress. It wouldn't be surprising that this wonderful time is chock full of chaotic, unrealistic schedules, high expectations to constantly be cheerful, and irregular and often unhealthy meals, as well as little to no time to rest or engage in self-care. The time of the year takes a hard toll on our overall well-being. We can end up being cranky, irritated, exhausted, and anxious. It also doesn't help that we have perfection at the tip of our fingertips and are constantly seeing everyone else's perfect holidays that seem to be filled with happiness and bliss. And suddenly our phones shift from these really useful devices to here's a million photos of how well everyone else's holidays are going. You're probably seeing pictures already of perfectly decorated houses, families in matching pajamas where everyone's smiling, even the teenagers and the babies, and the most perfect meals, desserts that you just couldn't even picture eating because they are so perfect. And typically we are staring at these photos while the fourth batch of cookies in our oven are burning, and everyone we've ever known is about to invade our house in 30 minutes, and somehow flour has managed to get everywhere in your kitchen. But what you're not seeing behind those tiny snapshots of perfection is what's happening behind the scenes, right? The reality of those photos is the houses and the chaos and stress and exhaustion probably look much like what you're experiencing at home. And our goal today is to have some resources and strategies to help survive the holidays financially and mentally, and hopefully without slowly losing our minds during this time. So why are the holidays so difficult? We make a ton of decisions in our normal everyday lives, but as we get closer to the holidays, we are facing a lot more decisions that impact our energy levels. Just going to the store involves decisions about when to leave, avoiding traffic, the best route to take, where to park, finding the right gift, evaluating when to buy it, finding the right size, color, price, determining how much is available in your budget, even which line to buy, which line you want to go to buy the item. There's so many decisions, and we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to make perfect decisions during this time of year. Each decision we make drains us more and more, leaving us feeling more drained than normal, which is difficult during a season that also causes us to be busier than normal. So it's no surprise with being more tired and busier that we experience more stress during this time of the year. Stress is especially heightened as we face overall lack of time, increased financial and social pressures, and more social gatherings. And having so many gatherings adds to our stress, but we may also be significantly impacted if we find ourselves processing grief due to the loss of a loved one or loneliness from being unable to join gatherings with loved ones. Whether you experience financial pressures from the increased gatherings, or maybe you're needing to now spend more in mailing to mail stuff to loved ones since you can't be there for the holidays, you may also experience increased expenses in travel, gifts, parties, food. All of that can add to our stress levels. It's especially true if you were experiencing financial stress before the holiday season even started. So we're already in the middle of the holiday season, but there is still plenty of time to create financial and mental well-being plans. It can also help to plan for the next holiday season so that each year you're just making it better and better. So to start, set a realistic budget and stick to it the best that you can. So look at your income for each month against how much you are spending. Add up all the things you spend money on every single month. So that means big items like rent and mortgage, all the way down to those $5 here and there that you spend on streaming services or that quick coffee you tend to buy every day. The difference between your income and expenses shows the extra you have available each month. Knowing that's going to help you make a realistic budget. Ensure your budget account also makes up for all holiday expenses, not just presents, because we're spending more in food, decorations, travel expenses, sometimes even gas going to and from the stores. So we want to be realistic about what we can spend. We want to set the budget for that and stick to it the best we can. As you start purchasing items, be sure to keep checking in that budget, right? We didn't make it to let it sit there. We check in, and if we find ourselves overspending in one area, update the budget to balance out your needs. If you're spending more on gifts this year, maybe you can offset it with spending a little less in food. It is also important to remember your relationship with your loved ones matters more than any material item you can buy them. So once the budget is set, create a gift and food list to help stick to the budget and avoid frequent or unplanned trips to the store that nobody wants to deal with. Create lists for gifts and food to ensure nothing is forgotten. This can also help you stick to the budget, especially if you list out all the items along with their prices, even if it's just a rough estimate, before committing to purchasing anything. Also, consider alternative gift giving. Be creative in making personal gifts. We all have really special sets of skills, and you can use that to create really unique homemade gifts that will mean a lot to the person you're giving it to. You could also start a gift exchange where you're focusing on gathering one meaningful gift for one person instead of trying to give something to everyone you know. This especially is important if you're in a large family or friend group. It can also help to set the amount for that exchange, so there's no stress about how much others are spending on their presents, and there's no pressure on you to spend as much as humanly possible. If you all agree on the set amount for everyone, then there's not that pressure to do it. And be honest with your group about how much that you can actually be spending on it. Follow a 3-gift rule is another option where you can give one gift that they would want, one gift they would need, and one gift that they would read. Alternative gift giving can be challenging for those with children, especially when wanting to give them everything they ask for. But be honest with your children. You're setting the example for their financial future as well. So if you're moving to an alternative like the 3-gift rule, challenge them to take the time to really think through each item that they are asking for. Have them evaluate what they really want versus listing everything they see in the store. If you're doing a gift exchange, you could include your children in searching for items, providing them with that set amount so that they're looking for gifts within that budget. These skills will help them value material items more, as well as help them work toward their own financial literacy. And while you're considering alternative gift giving, you could also consider alternative gatherings. Instead of being the only one slaving away in the kitchen, spending all your money on cooking everything for the meal, host a potluck style meal where everyone volunteers for a set dish or category of dish to help offset the costs and the stress. And then finally, for financial strategies, avoid buy now, pay later options. These options may look great, especially if you find yourself not having extra money between your income and the expenses you have, but these options often come with high interest rates, late fees and other penalties and costs that can really increase your debt and hurt your credit score, especially if you find yourself unable to pay on that time, unable to pay for it later in that year. Although it's not recommended to use pay later options, including using those credit cards, if you do, take the time to create a payment plan so you set it in your budget and you avoid those late fees and you know how much you have to pay to stay on top of any repayment that is necessary. And so now here are some resources for financial assistance over the holidays and really anytime. We are a national organization, so all of these resources I provide today are nationwide, but there are so many options in your local area, and I will be including several nationwide databases that you would just go in and type in your zip code and you can connect lots of local organizations that offer even more support. So to start, HFA's emergency assistance is one I'm very familiar with as I help run it. It helps cover one household bill when facing a financial emergency. The program does require an eligible referrer, and we reopened the program on January 9th, and we're there whenever you face a financial emergency. FindHelp.org is a database of local support for food, utilities, housing, and other assistance local to your area. Colberg-Keenan Foundation helps with utilities, appliances, rent, and other expenses. Your local bleeding disorder organization or HTCs often have financial assistance programs and may know of other assistance in your local area. If you have not already connected with your local bleeding disorder organization or HTC, you can find the options closest to you on HFA's website. Hope Charities helps with utilities, food, housing, clothing, medical expenses, and other areas of assistance. And Catholic Charities helps with housing, food, and health expenses, regardless of what religion you are. So gift resources. Since we are so close to the holidays, many of these programs are no longer accepting applications. However, it is important to keep these programs in mind for next year because the holidays happen every year. So they often have deadlines at the end of October or November. So be sure to set an alert in your phone to check these programs at the end of September next year so you can have time to understand their application process and make sure you get the deadline in or get the application in before the deadline. I also find it doesn't hurt to ask. So if you are finding yourself in need this year and deadlines have already passed, still reach out to the organizations as they have many resources that they may know about, as well as some may have a little extra that they might be able to provide this year, even though their deadlines have passed. So Salvation Army has an Angel Tree program for children. They also have assistance with shelters, food, rent, and utilities. Alice's Kids is a really great program for children in grades K through 12. It is open year-round, but it does require a referral from a professional that interacts with the child. So a referrer can be a social worker, coach, teacher, priest, anyone working with the child. The form is really simple, and the only identifying information it asks is the name of the school for the child and their age. They do help with smaller needs, typically around $100 for children, and that includes presents and clothes. And then you have USPS, Operation Santa, which children can write letters to Santa that are mailed through USPS to a set address. The letters are read, and those that are selected are then posted online and adopted by people all over the world. Toys for Tots, you will need to find your local coordinator through the website. Some will have links to websites where you can apply for assistance. Others may just have emails for the coordinator that you would then need to reach out and contact. Coalition for Hemophilia B provides holiday gifts, food, clothing, shoes, and more to children with hemophilia. Their 2022 holiday giving is closed already, but definitely one to check out next year if you would fit the eligibility. And then Free Cycle is an online marketplace where people in your area can post items that are available for free. You can use Free Cycle or even Facebook Marketplace to find free or less expensive gifts or decorations. But if you're going to do that, please follow online safety guidelines with utilizing any marketplace that requires you to meet with people you don't know. You can also look at local thrift stores, and if you are in a particularly difficult financial situation, thrift stores often offer vouchers. Some may require social worker referral, but it always helps to check, and then you can always follow up with your social worker if you need a referral. Finally, you could also partner with a friend who has a child of a similar age to swap toys. So the toys are new for your child, but they don't add to the financial strain of the holidays. And then clothing is a big one for winter. And so One Warm Coat has a list of local nonprofit partners that can help you get a free winter coat. Area agencies on aging often offer free winter clothes to people over 55 years old. You can use the website to find the closest center to you. Schools are often overlooked, but they can typically give clothes, jackets, and other needs to children. You can contact your child's school either by notifying their teacher or reaching out to the guidance counselor, social worker, or nurse at the school. If they cannot provide the needs at the school, they may know local organizations that can help. Dress for Success provides help with getting interview clothing and even employment support if there is an office near you. And then just like Presents, Free Cycle, Facebook Marketplace, and thrift stores can help with getting gently used and sometimes new clothing for your entire family. Churches are also a great local resource. They often provide clothing, food, and bill assistance to locals regardless of religious affiliations. Local churches can be found through some of the nationwide databases or simply searching on Google. Some church websites announce their assistance programs, but if you don't see anything, it's still helpful to reach out. They sometimes don't announce their programs, or they know of programs in the community that may be able to help. And I mentioned Alice's Kids again. That's a really great program for kids and can help with clothing expenses. So food resources, Feeding America, Food Finder, Ample Harvest, and No Kid Hungry have databases where you search for food banks and pantries based on your zip code. It's also important to remember if you have a small child that food banks may also be able to help with baby food, formula, and diapers, which can be incredibly high expenses. 211 is probably the best resource I can provide. It's an information and referral database to local services for so many different needs. But most importantly, they have a lot of help with bill assistance, food, and clothing. You can call them and get information, or you can search the online database yourself. Meals on Wheels provides meals and companionship for seniors. They are provided on a sliding scale, so you may get a free or at least significantly reduced rate. It is best to connect with your local office to start the process and discover how to get affordable or free meals, along with a way to have a nice social connection. So speaking of connection, staying connected during the holidays and really any stressful time throughout the year is important for your mental health. Include family and friends to the best of your ability in your holiday prep. Let them help with baking, cooking, wrapping presents, getting the house ready for visitors. Wherever they can feel involved, allow you all to connect and help get some of the stress off of you. Serve the community by connecting with local organizations to see if you can volunteer, especially if you can do it with a group of people like your family or friends. If volunteering just doesn't fit in your schedule or is just too much to consider right now, you could also go for a walk in your neighborhood or pick a local park to have your own cleanup effort and ways to keep your neighborhood safe and enjoyable for everybody. And use video chat programs. There are so many to choose from. Just pick a platform that works best for you and video chat with loved ones, even if they're in the same neighborhood or far, far away. Get connected and get creative in your interactions. Video chat programs aren't just for looking at each other. You can play online games together, stream your favorite movies, go on virtual field trips, learn something new through a YouTube video, and maybe instead of physical presents this year, find virtual cooking or art classes you can take and do with loved ones that aren't near. Create new connections, especially if you are struggling with feeling isolated during this time. Meetup is one way to find gatherings in your area that may interest you. They have in-person and virtual options. You could also find support groups in areas you're needing assistance. They can help you connect with others during a season of really difficult emotions. Support groups allow you to surround yourself with peers, connect with others, and discover new coping strategies. So the ADAA link that I included provides a list of support groups for anxiety and depression. And then Grief Share provides support groups for those experiencing grief. But you can search online and find support groups in so many different areas of assistance. And then invent new traditions. If you have strong negative feelings toward past traditions or identify the need for new traditions after experiencing a loss, remember you can always start a new tradition. Come together and create a special new tradition that fills you with positive feelings or gives you the opportunity to cherish your memories of the person you lost. You could start lighting a candle during the holidays or adding their favorite food to your holiday meal or taking the time to share really good memories about them at the dinner table. So some strategies to get through this holiday with your mental well-being intact. So get ahead of stress. We know the holidays are stressful and full of events. So look at the calendar and plan days to do your shopping, your cooking, and all of those gatherings that you're going to attend. Anything and everything you're doing during this time. Make sure as you're scheduling time for your regular life events, along with these new holiday events, remember to set time aside for yourself and keep those times for yourself the best you can. It may help to set a time each day so it becomes a routine, or even set an alarm on your phone to remind yourself to take those breaks. Think of this time as you would a work meeting or an event you wouldn't dare canceling, because taking time for yourself and caring for your needs is as important as a work meeting or a social event. And then create an escape plan for events you know that may be potentially triggering for you or where you may experience uneasy feelings. Figure out a few ways ahead of time that you can remove yourself from those situations to give yourself a break. If it's at someone else's house, maybe plan to bring warm clothes so that you can go on a walk around the block at their house to clear your head if you need it. If you're having people over the house, keep one room off limits to guests so you can use that room anytime you need a few minutes to yourself. If you know a conversation or topic will make you uncomfortable this season, make a plan of ways to change the subject, set your limits, or provide an opening for you to take a break. Have those plans ready so when they happen, you're not caught off guard and you have a way out. In addition to an escape plan, create a coping plan. Find activities or strategies that help you cope with difficult emotions and create a list that can be readily available for you in challenging situations. I often recommend having it on your phone, as we seem to never be without that, but you could also just jot it down on a piece of paper to keep in your pocket. Whatever way will work best for you so that whenever the moment arises, that list is there for you. Check to make sure the strategies you use aren't isolating yourself from those that make you feel loved and supported, and make sure you're celebrating the holidays that are really important to you. Having these plans created prior to the challenging experiences can help you feel more in control and ensure that you have options available when you're in the moment, as it can be really challenging in those moments to remember all these strategies that we're listing out. And then let it out. Holidays can bring up a lot of emotions, especially if you're facing a holiday season where someone is not there, whether it's due to a breakup, distance, or death. In addition to those emotions, many people find themselves stressed about money or struggling with facing challenging situations that have negative impacts on their well-being. Take the time to acknowledge and accept your feelings. Journaling can help us get all the thoughts swirling around in our head down on paper and decrease our stress levels. This can also help you make a manageable to-do list so you stay on top of everything and don't spend the day stressing about missing something, because everything's right there on your list and you can prioritize the tasks as needed. Another good way to let it out during the season is a gratitude list. We have plenty of to-do lists, and we tend to focus all of our time on the things we need to do and the things that we don't necessarily like about our lives, but spending 5 to 10 minutes to acknowledge, celebrate, and express gratitude for all you have in your life can help improve our physical health, self-esteem, mental health, sleep, and mental strength. Processing on your own is good, but also reach out to others. Get a hug from a friend, call a family member, grab coffee with someone, or have someone over for a snack. Talk to someone you trust who can provide a space for you to comfortably vent. It will help you let out the emotions you're feeling, but it will also help with any feelings of loneliness, as well as help others address their own feeling of isolation, loneliness, and anxiousness, because I can promise you, you are not the only one feeling it. Self-care is crucial during this time. Keep your scheduled time for yourself, even if it is just 1 minute to take deep breaths or a quick meditation or workout. Do your best to do at least one thing each day that will help you reset and recharge so you can actually enjoy the holidays. Every break you take will help reduce your stress level. Have a list ready to go for activities you can do to relax for a few minutes. The list can include spending time in nature, watching your favorite show or movie, doing yoga, taking a walk, coloring, because it's not just for children, reading a book, doing a puzzle, playing a game, taking a bath or shower, taking a nap, listen to music, or even following a guided meditation. And make sure you're releasing that guilt you feel for caring for yourself. Remember, you cannot pour care into others if you're not taking care of yourself. The notion from flying when they say to put your oxygen mask on before others is relating to self-care as well. And one tool to check your feelings is called HALT. Check if you are feeling hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. Feeling any of these can increase your stress levels and make you feel more overwhelmed than normal. So if you're feeling hungry, eat a healthy meal and avoid skipping meals when you're busy, or even if you're anticipating a large meal later in the day. If you're feeling angry, take a break, go for a walk, or do some breathing to help manage your feelings. If you're feeling lonely, use your support system. Reach out to someone. If you're feeling tired, do your best to keep your sleep routine and have at least 6 hours of sleep. Take breaks and rest as needed. This is also a good time to start or maintain your healthy habits. Avoid numbing or avoiding your feelings, especially by using alcohol or other substances. They often worsen your anxiety and your depression. Focus on healthy meals between the holiday events on your calendar. Try your best to get at least 6 hours of sleep. Stay hydrated. Include regular physical activity. If you can get a full session at the gym, amazing. Just a walk around the neighborhood is perfectly fine too, or even walking laps around your kitchen while cooking. Just some kind of physical activity in your day. Reduce your time spent watching or reading the news and scrolling through social media. Keep track of your stress levels and notice when you may need a break. Utilize social media to connect with those you want to, and unfriend or unfollow those that bring negativity into your life or don't make you feel good. If it isn't helpful or important to you, it shouldn't be something you spend a lot of time thinking about or looking at. And stay present. Deep breaths help calm us and lower our heart rate and blood pressure. There are tons of options for deep breathing, but one that is quick and easy to remember is called square breathing. So when you start feeling stressed or anxious, you take a deep breath in through your nose for a count of 4, and then think about it like a square. So you go up when you count to 4, breathing in, you hold it for a count of 4, you then breathe out of your mouth for a count of 4, and you hold it for another count of 4. So you're making a nice square. Another way to stay present is to bring yourself back into the moment and out of the racing thoughts in your head or those overwhelming feelings that you're having. One way to do that is a grounding exercise called 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There are several ways to do it, but one way is you focus on one spot in the room you are in and notice 5 things you see, 5 things you hear, and 5 things you feel. And then you move down in numbers, right? 4 things you see, 4 things you hear, 4 things you feel, and so on. It's important to remember that when they say feel, it is not emotional feelings, but what you are physically feeling. So like right now, it'd be the desk under my arms and feeling my feet on the floor. You may also find yourself repeating things because there's only so much happening in our environment. But the point is to pull you back into the moment and to focus on the environment around you and get out of those spiraling thoughts and those concerns that can't seem to leave our brain. If you do find yourself feeling anxious, stop and do an exercise to bring you back into the present moment so you can enjoy these holidays. Clear your mind and address the problems that are occurring right now and not the problems that may occur later or any of the other thoughts spiraling through your head. Part of those healthy habits is learning to say no. It is so easy to stretch ourselves thin, especially during the holidays. Just make sure you are saying yes to things that are important to you. Guard your time and politely decline for anything that is going to drain you or increase your stress levels. And accept it's okay to not go to everything that you are invited to. And it is okay to do things differently than you've done or the family traditions you have. If you will be triggered by a certain activity or interaction, consider if you truly need to be there. And if you do, have those plans in place to protect yourself in those situations. And finally, ask for support. If you're feeling too stressed or overwhelmed, speak up and ask for help. And be clear about what kind of support you need the most. Many people want to support you. Unfortunately, humans are absolutely terrible at mind reading. So although they want to help you, they just don't know how. So let them know when you need help and let them know how to help. If it's shopping, coordinating a meal, meeting up for a walk, or even just having someone call or text you throughout the week to check in, let them know how they can help you. So resources. If you are finding that you are unable to do routine chores, are unable to sleep, or facing feelings of sadness, anxiousness, irritability, or hopelessness, lasting longer than 2 or 3 weeks, it may be helpful to consult a professional. You can check your insurance directory. They have a list of providers that accept your insurance. You can use Mental Health America to review resources and articles about mental health, as well as use their database to find professional assistance. Consult professionals in your area. They are all around. You can find services through your local university, church, community organization, social worker, doctor, the human resource department at your job, and of course, Google. Psychology Today is a database of therapy providers based on your city or zip code, and HFA's Learning Central has a course on mental health basics, how to get help, and coping strategies from community members. We also have a long list of mental health resources that are available. When those self-care strategies can help, while the self-care strategies can help and finding professional help is available, there are times that may be too overwhelming for those strategies or just too intense to wait for help. These are resources that provide immediate assistance. And please don't let the titles stop you from reaching out. These are resources for people experiencing emotional crisis. Some may mention suicide prevention. That does not mean you can only contact them when you are at the point of considering suicide. They are available when the emotions just become too much to handle on your own, to talk about with a friend, or to wait for a professional. So you have the suicide prevention line, which provides 24/7 free and confidential support to those in crisis. The crisis text line connects people with live trained crisis counselors through their text line. NAMI is the National Alliance on Mental Illness, and they provide a free peer support helpline service and resource referral. The Trevor Project is a crisis intervention and suicide prevention for LGBTQ+ individuals under 25 years old. The Trans Lifeline provides peer support for transgender individuals, and the Teen Line provides peer support and resources for teens. So as I just went through a presentation sharing how busy you are and how chaotic the season of your life can be, I really want to thank you for joining today. You can check HFA resources for a large list of helpful resources for many different areas. We are currently in the process of updating everything on our new beautiful website, so check back periodically as resources continue to be added. As always, you can contact the entire Helping Hands team at helpinghands@hemophiliafed.org with any questions, concerns. We are there to help. I also included my direct email, which is c.cross@hemophiliafed.org, if you have any direct questions for me, but please always feel free to reach out. And Heather isn't sure if we have any questions.
Cynthia, I don't even know what to say. That was incredible. Thank you so much. So many resources, so many specific examples. It was amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise and your time. And we do have a bunch of questions in the Q&A, so we will go to those. The first question is, what are some strategies to set boundaries with stressful relatives?
So definitely when working with relatives, you always want to be careful and maintain that relationship to the best of your ability, but also be honest. I know that a lot of difficult conversations come up during the holiday season, and there are many that can be very difficult to address with relatives, but you have to remember that these people are, in theory, supposed to love you and accept you for who you are. And so in those moments, you need to be honest with where you're at and what conversations you're comfortable to have and what just are off limits right now for you. And it is also on them to then accept that boundary you are putting, that line you are setting, and support you in anything else that you need to do. If they keep pushing, that is when those plans come in to take yourself out of that situation in that moment. You can address it later, but when you're heated and when you are having really difficult times, it can be really hard to stay calm and address everything in that moment. So have those plans in place to separate yourself from really emotional moments, and then come back later in that calm manner if they just keep pushing against those boundaries you're trying to set.
Great. Thank you, Cynthia. The next question is, I feel like I need to make an excuse if I do not go to a holiday event. Is there another way to do it?
I would say if you feel like you can be honest with the person it is, without really jeopardizing that relationship, you can always tell them, like, I just have way too much on my calendar. I know that there are tons and tons of people that will understand that, because we all have very chaotic and busy schedules every single day, right? But then you have the holidays and usually 2 or 3 families that want you. So being honest with that time, or, sometimes excuses are what we have to go to if we're going to maintain that relationship, and they're just not going to accept that right now there's too many conflicting schedules and you just need that time. So unfortunately can't make their event.
Thank you. This one isn't so much a question as it is a tip. This says there are a lot of TikTok videos that teach you how to make holiday meals that look homemade but are actually store-bought. It helps. The next question is, my family struggles because my child has a bleeding disorder and his cousins do not. This means he can be left out and it makes it stressful. My relatives also do not understand. My son has to be more careful. How do we navigate this?
On this one, education. One of the things definitely about joining HFA was learning all about hemophilia and the complications of having bleeding disorders that many people just don't understand. It's just that pure education piece of why they have to be more careful as a child, or what your family experiences having a child with bleeding disorder. So providing that education to them, offering alternative activities that everyone can do together so that your child isn't being singled out. And if they just, like the other ones, if they just keep pushing, then it's trying to remember that the people that are in your lives should be loving and supporting of you and accepting of the situation that you're in. And if they're not that way, then it's time to reevaluate, is this a group of people that I need in my life or that I want in my life?
Great, thank you. The next one is, can you speak a little bit more to the specific assistance that HFA provides? I know assistance is on hold until January, but I want to make sure I understand what HFA provides and how to access it.
Yeah, so HFA provides 4 financial assistance programs. We have our emergency assistance one that I talked about, and items assistance that helps with medically necessary items. We have a disaster relief if you are impacted by a disaster, which I know many people from this past season with all these hurricanes definitely utilized our program. And then we have an inhibitor support. So all of those programs are on hold right now until January 9th, but we also have amazing education resources on our website that can help and may also help with educating that family about some of the struggles and really the pros to also having a bleeding disorder and including that with your family. We also have a huge list of resources that we update. We try to update it every quarter so that it's the most up to date. As I said, we are moving to a beautiful new website, but that does take a process. So our resources right now aren't all there, but they're in the process of being there. But financial assistance and mental health are there, and they are a full list of organizations that have programs open, even if HFA's financial assistance isn't right now.
Great. So the next question is, you mentioned in your presentation 4x4, like the square breathing. Are there other techniques you can use in the moment to try to calm yourself down or make sure that you're not overextending yourself?
Yeah, so there's tons of different breathing exercises. I love the square one just because you have a method to follow if you're like in the moment, because you know when you're in that really high stress situation where your feelings are just everywhere, you're not going to sit down and have the capacity to remember a huge list of items. So I always like to suggest having something that's going to be easy for you to remember, or like I said, on a list. So for deep breathing, I mean, it can be, hold on one second, I need, I need to go grab something, and go get the imaginary rolls out of the oven if you have to, anything to set yourself for that moment. And holidays, for some reason, we just love to bring up all of these really difficult conversations and be involved in situations. So set those times that you need to take a break and have those excuses on hand that you need to step away for a second, or maybe even taking a drink. Like if you're in the middle of a conversation, it's totally normal to drink water. And that gives you a second to also just take a deep breath. And you don't need really fancy techniques for deep breathing. We take so many shallow breaths. It's amazing what happens when you actually just fill your lungs and like let it out. Just doing that a couple times and you'll notice your level of stress just going down a little bit.
Wonderful. The free YouTube yoga class I take on weekday mornings, the woman always says, my breath is my anchor and my anchor is my breath. And I try to remember that sometimes when I'm starting to get a little anxious. Okay, so the next question is, I'm in the United States and I'm getting better treatment factor, but my younger brother is in Pakistan. Unfortunately, he doesn't get treatment with factor, and this gives me stress. What should I do to relax my mind?
So this is a perfect example of areas that we can control and areas that we can't control. I wish we could control every single factor of our life, and our brains definitely want us to do that. But in moments like that, we have to focus on what we can control. So just because we can get better treatment than another family member somewhere else doesn't mean that we should be holding on to any guilt or shame or any negative emotions from that. What we can focus on in our control is ways that we can support them and ways that you can support yourself in those situations. So anything that's going to let you decrease the stress that you're experiencing and just open up your mind to allowing yourself to have this better treatment, even though a very important family member isn't. It is so easy for us to focus on just that stress and that frustration, and it's really important to allow yourself to have that for yourself. It's just like self-care, right? Like if we're not spending every second with our child or our husband or doing 900 different things, we tend to feel guilty and shamed. But what happens when we burn out? What happens when we can't take care of ourselves? You're not going to be able to care for your family or anyone else. So making sure that we're taking the time to release that guilt and hold on to the fact that, you know, we're doing the best we can. There are some things that we just can't control.
Thank you, Cynthia. The next one is also more of a comment. Someone put into the Q&A that their local organization had an angel tree for families in need that was organized through their HTC and was anonymous. And they suggest that many other HTCs offer financial assistance as well.
Yeah.
The next question is, do you have any ideas for helping to de-stress and help with holiday deadlines at work?
So that is where calendars and alerts on your phone come in handy, and time management skills. So even personal, I am the worst at sitting and stressing about everything that's in your head, right? You have deadlines for work, you have deadlines for home. Suddenly you have to buy all these presents for people, and you have to make dinner tonight, even though you're planning Christmas dinner in 2 weeks. So all of these deadlines, all of these things are just racing around your brain. Sit down and write them all out, because them bouncing around your brain is not doing you any support or any help. Getting them out on paper will let you see it all. And then it also lets you make a list to prioritize what needs to be done. So if, buying a present is probably not as important as that work deadline that you have, because we want to maintain our jobs. So we want to make sure that we're meeting those work deadlines. So that would become number one on our priority list. And then we're looking at a calendar from there. What do I need to do to make sure that I hit this deadline, and look at all of the other to-do lists? There are some things that we're just going to have to sacrifice. And it's not fun, and it really sucks sometimes, but it is what it is. And the better we get with our time management, the less we have to do with that. So getting it all on paper, being able to prioritize those tasks, and looking at your calendar and setting those deadlines for yourself and setting those days that you get to do things is going to help a lot in making sure that you don't miss anything, and that we're meeting all of the deadlines we have for work and the ones that we set for ourselves.
Great. We have one more question, but I just want to remind people that now is your opportunity to put any questions into the Q&A. As you can see on the slide, there is contact information there if you think of anything later or want to be in touch with Cynthia directly. But the final question that has come through is, can you offer any suggestions on ways to balance wanting to support our families with how we need to support ourselves in the holidays?
So we're going to go back to the oxygen mask. I fly frequently and always hear the oxygen mask, thing. And it is the truest thing for self-care. You can't help others if you have no oxygen yourself, right? So you can't help your family if you're stressed and you're barely functioning. So, and it's a very unique thing to some people, but the shame and guilt that we feel when we are taking time for ourselves, even the 5 minutes to take a deep breath and just not think for a second, is filled with this shame and this hard feeling about taking care of ourselves, when we all know if you're not taking care of yourself, you cannot take care of your family. And unfortunately, our infants and our children, it's really hard for them to understand that, of course, and you do the absolute best that you can. But I literally set an alert on my phone every single day to remind myself to just stop for 5 minutes and just breathe and take deep breaths, because you can get so caught up in the day-to-day and, oh, I have to go here, and we have a soccer game over here, and I have a dinner to cook tonight, and I got, husband wants to go here and child needs this. It gets so easy to get caught up in that, and you are going to be spiraling So set that time to make sure that you're caring for yourself, and then you can care for your family.
Thank you again, Cynthia. This has been fantastic. I honestly think that when the recording comes out later, I will bookmark it and then come back and be like, oh, this is what she told me to do about this part. So I'm so excited. Thank you. I just have a couple of quick announcements. One is that our annual symposium registration opens in January. Symposium this year is April 13th through 16th in Orlando, Florida. We will have some scholarships available for first-time attendees. That will also become available. The information for that will also become available when the registration opens in January. We are going to have educational webinars throughout 2023 as well. The first one is already scheduled for January 11th. It's at 7 p.m. Eastern, and it will be on isometric exercises. So gentle movements and ways that you can continue to stay fit without any damage to your joints. And then, as I just mentioned, the recording for this webinar will be out shortly. Please definitely utilize it. Go to our website and check out the resources, and be in touch with HFA if there are questions or any ways that we can be of help. HFA is here, and we wish you a very happy holiday season. Thank you.